Good morning. The Assembly is now in session. Assemblymember Chavez notices the absence of a quorum. The Sergeant-at-Arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Acosta, Aguiar-Curry, Allen, Arambula, Baker, Berman, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonta, Bro, Burke, Caballero, Calderon, Carrillo, Cervantes, Chow, Chavez, Chin, David Chu, Choi, Kansan Chu, Cooley, Cooper, Cunningham, Daly, Daly, Eggman, Flora, Fong, Frazier, Friedman, Gallagher, Christina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gibson, Gloria, Gonzalez Fletcher, Gray, Grayson, Harper, Holden, Irwin, Jones Sawyer, Cora, Kylie, Lackey, Levine, Limon, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Mirasucci, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Patterson, Quirk Silva, Reyes, Rodriguez, Rubio, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurmond, Ting, Vopel, Waldron, Weber, Wood. Mr. Speaker.
Members, we are going to go and have a brief recess for Republican caucus. Thank you. Members will ask the Republicans to please join their colleagues for caucus. Thank you. The Assembly is back in session. Members, please make your way to the floor. Members, a quorum is present. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for today's invocation, which will be offered by our Assembly Chaplain, Reverend Bob Oshta. Reverend Oshta.
Please join me in a moment of reflection. Although the weather may indicate otherwise, we are now officially into the spring season of 2018. Driving through the recent downpours, I was reminded of a conversation Dr. Takamaro Shigaraki had with a cab driver during the rainy season in Kyoto. As Dr. Shigaraki entered the cab, rather than complain about the rain, as many were, he commented to the cab driver that this rain would clean the air of pollution and smog, and the days after the rain would be beautiful. To Dr. Shigaraki's surprise, the cab driver replied, "You know, we humans are the same way. Unless we shed tears occasionally, we are unable to see life clearly." Dr. Shigaraki was moved by the cab driver's deeply thoughtful response. In living life, it is inevitable that we will experience times of great joy and deep sorrow. Our tears of great joy and our tears of sadness are the most meaningful They mark moments in our lives we will never forget, for they are our tears of love. When I drive in the rain, I often reflect on the tears of love that have marked the most meaningful moments of my life. Each tear helping me to see life more clearly, reminding me to be grateful for all the love that has enriched my life and the many kindnesses that have helped me through the most difficult of times. When our wisdom eyes open, even the rain can remind us of what is most important in living each day. Namu Amida Butsu, with kindness and gratitude beyond words.
I invite you to remain standing for today's flag salute, which will be led by Assemblymember Mark Stone.
Members and visitors, I pledge allegiance to the flag.
You may be seated. The reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Wednesday, March 14, 2018. The Assembly met at
Mr.
7
Calderon moves and Ms. Waldron second that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations and petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the Governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Moving now to motions and resolutions. Today's absences will be deemed read and recorded in today's journal. Mr. Calderon, you are recognized for your motions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 118A to allow Assemblymember Rubio to have guests and photographers on the floor today.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Assembly members Gonzalez-Fletcher, Gibson, and Rubio to speak on an adjournment in memory today.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
At the request of the committee chair, please return AB 1691 by the Judiciary Committee to the Senate for further action.
The clerk will note.
I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 96 to withdraw AB 2184 David Chu from Local Government Committee and re-refer the bill to the Privacy and Consumer Protection Committee and then back to the Local Government Committee.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also request unanimous consent to re-refer item 28 AJR 27 low to the Public Safety Committee. The resolution was mistakenly reported to the floor.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also request unanimous consent to allow Assemblymember Frazier to take up H.R. 89 without reference to committee or file.
Without objection, such shall be the order. Members, we have guests with us in the Assembly today. Mr. Grayson, you are recognized for your guest introductions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to recognize constituents from my district. They represent New Hope Church of Concord. Pastors Joe and Tina Skiles are here with members and other pastors of the congregation. Joining them today are Courtney and Macy Skiles, Robert, Brenda, and Ben Balk, and Shauna Balk, and Blair Balk, and Mike, Allison, Addie, Hope, and Titan Smallwood. New Hope serves the East Bay community by offering a variety of programs and activities. And these activities include New Hope Academy, a project-based learning school serving preschool through 5th grade, Morning Star Outreach, a summer camp for disadvantaged students, Grateful Gatherings, a nonprofit to help furnish homes for families transitioning out of homelessness or crisis, Level Up Sports Academy, youth development program using basketball, St. Raymond Society, a nonprofit organization that helps single mothers, and lastly, Quest Academy, a leadership training program for kids. Please join me in welcoming my constituents to the Capitol, to their Capitol. Please stand. Thank you.
Assemblymember Calderon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Under motions. Pursuant to Assembly Rule 96, I request unanimous consent to re-refer the following bills to committee. AB 1983 Waldron from the Local Government Committee to the Rules Committee, and AB 2411 McCarty from the Accountability Administrative Review Committee to the Rules Committee.
Without objection, such shall be the order. Members, we are moving to business on the daily file. H.R. 89, the clerk will please read.
House Resolution 89 by Assemblymember Frazier relative to Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month.
Assemblymember Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today to present H.R. 89, which recognizes March 2018 as National Developmental Disabilities.
Calderon, you're recognized.
Apologize for interrupting my colleague, but members, it is extremely loud on the floor. If it can please give our attention and respect to the member presenting on his resolution. Thank you.
Please give your point well taken. Please give your attention to Assemblymember Frazier.
Thank you to our Majority Leader. I rise today to present H.R. 89, which recognizes March 2018 as National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. The Lanterman Act states that people with developmental disabilities and their families have a right to get the services and support they need to live like people without disabilities. Colleagues, let's take the time today to commend the advocates persistently fighting to keep us in line with the Lanterman Act. Rain or shine, during times of recession or times of surplus, leaders of the community are out at our doors reminding us that there is still work needing to be done. Barriers like lack of housing, transportation, access to resources, budget cuts impede individuals from accomplishing their goals. And parents have a tendency to say, what's going to happen to my child after I'm gone? That is not fair to a parent to have to worry about that going forward. Supporting this community is a personal passion of mine, and I want to mitigate obstacles and help these folks get what they need to be successful. I'm proud of the Assembly for recognizing the importance of this community by allowing the formation of the Select Committee on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. Let's make sure we are harnessing our resources to assist advocates of the community as best we can. Oftentimes, it would seem that they are fighting the battle for increased support on their own, and that's not fair. Let's let them know that they are not alone, please. H.R. 89 is written to commemorate this year's theme, See Me, For Me. Well, we do see you, and we want to continue seeing you. We value you, and we want to continue our partnership. I look forward to all the great work we will do together, and I would like to personally thank the individuals and organizations who have worked diligently to increase the awareness of developmental disabilities, but more importantly, their support in recognizing the full range of these individuals and capabilities these individuals have. Madam Speaker, may I go to the Majority Leader's desk to announce my guests?
Without objection.
Colleagues, if I can direct your attention to the gallery.
Yeah.
Technicality.
Yeah.
Okay. We will hold on the guest introductions until after the resolution is adopted. Assemblymember Lackey, you are recognized.
Yeah, just real quickly, I'm very thankful for my colleague for bringing this issue to the floor. I'm usually not a fan of dwarfed issues, but I'm very thankful for this one. Because I have to tell you that this part of our culture has come a long way, and our culture has come a long way in trying to adapt and embrace the folks that face these enormous challenges every day. The things that we take for granted every day are huge accomplishments for many of them. But yet, this legislature, I come to find, has done very, very little, the bare minimal, to support this part of our society. And I think it's embarrassing. And I'm very, very thankful that we're starting to become aware. And I hope that all of you will not just say that you support people with developmental disabilities, but that you'll actually embrace their challenges by supporting them through funds. You know, the fact remains, and I was very discouraged to find this out when I got elected to this office, that there are so many worthy causes that we all try to support and that we try to do our best to do the right thing. But these folks don't have a band of lobbyists that are actually beating their drum and allowing them to compete on fair ground. let us reach into our soul and realize we have a commitment. There is no part of our population that is more worthy of support than these people. They have conditions through no fault of their own, and we have a duty to embrace them for the good people they are. And I'm thankful that this is a step in that direction. I ask you to support this measure at the very minimum. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblymember Acosta, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I also rise in support of H.R. 89. I applaud my colleague from Oakley and my colleague from Palmdale as well. This is an important issue, and as is previously mentioned, these are our friends, our neighbors, our children. These are people that we so often walk right by when we see them in the grocery store or out on the parks. And I tell you, I'm guilty of that myself sometimes. But I make a concerted effort to say hello and to talk to the families and talk to the parents. And one of the things that has happened for me as I've been up here in Sacramento working on behalf of issues like this is I have embraced, along with my other colleagues, this issue. And I will continue to embrace this issue, much like our foster youth. These are our children. These are our parents and our friends and, like I said, our neighbors and family. And we owe it to them to be compassionate, to make sure that our priorities aren't misplaced, that our priority is with those that cannot do for themselves. And I will continue as long as I am able and as long as I am here and long after to continue to advocate for those that frankly can't advocate for themselves oftentimes, and I'll continue to do that. And I applaud my colleagues, and I fully support H.R. 89, and I ask for your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no further debate or discussion. Assemblymember Frazier, would you like co-authors on the measure, and would you like to close?
Yes, please. And I want to thank my colleagues for standing up and talking about this population. You know, colleagues, if we were all to do, you look at it, we have 50 bills we can do in a cycle in a session. If we all, 80 of us, took one bill to change the lives of these wonderful people, look at what a difference you would make. That's a commitment I'm looking for from my colleagues, that we can actually take one bill and make a difference and work towards inclusion into the community and supporting them. Madam Speaker, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier is asking for the first roll to be open for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll. Members, this roll is for co-authors. This roll is for co-authors on the resolution. This roll is for co-authors on the resolution. The clerk will close the roll. There are 65 co-authors on the resolution. Without objection, we will take a voice vote on the resolution. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the resolution is adopted. Assemblymember Frazier, you're recognized for Mr. Calderon's desk for your guest introductions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I can direct our colleagues' attention to the gallery in the back. There are leaders of the community here with us today. The State Council on Developmental Disabilities, the ARC, Disability Rights California, California Disability Services Association, and my friend Audra is here today. Thank you, colleagues, for acknowledging and as a vote of confidence for going forward for our friends. And I would just wish that we could stand and applaud these folks for advocating for this population of our DD population. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving back in file order to item 14, clerk will please read.
Assembly Bill 1694 by Assemblymember Mark Stone, an act relating to foster care, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Assemblymember Stone, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. AB 403 passed out of the legislature last year, and in the chaptering out amendments was one seemingly minor amendment that turned out to be a big deal, and that was something that changed the priorities of how we find slots for child care. What this bill does is repeal that section so that we can continue the conversation without the interference of that language about child care slots. And with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Seeing no debate or discussion, the clerk will please open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 61, no 0 on the measure. Ayes 61, no 0 on the urgency. The Senate amendments are concurred. Item 15 passed temporarily. Items 16 through 19 will be continued. Item 20 pass and retain. Item 21 ACR 150. The clerk will please read.
Assembly concurrent resolution 150 by Assemblymember Limon relative to dual enrollment week.
Assemblymember Limon, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. ACR 150 recognizes March 18th through March 24th as Dual Enrollment Week in California. Dual enrollment programs offer pupils the opportunity to take and complete challenging college courses while still enrolled in high school. Participation in dual enrollment courses prepare high school students for the academic requirements of college, enable high school students to complete college-level units at a free and discounted rate, and it also increases the likelihood of a college degree completion. This enables substantial savings in college as well as a pathway to higher education for all pupils, especially those from underrepresented communities. ACR 150 recognizes dual enrollment as a tool to increase college access and degree attainment for students typically underrepresented in higher education. Thank you for your consideration, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion or debate, would you like the first roll open for co-authors?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll for co-authors. Members, this roll is for co-authors on the resolution. This roll is for co-authors on the resolution. Members, this roll is for co-authors. Mr. Clerk, please close the roll. There are 66 co-authors on the resolution. Without objection, we will take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed. The resolution is adopted. Moving to item 22, AB 2004. The clerk will please read.
Assembly Bill 2004 by Assemblymember Obernolte enacting the public employees' retirement and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Assemblymember Obernolte, you are recognized.
Madam Speaker, several agencies within the Big Bear Valley within my district wish to consolidate fire protection within the valley into a single new agency, the Big Bear Fire Authority. However, they've been hampered in this effort by the fact that the member agencies currently use different retirement systems. This bill, AB 2004, will allow public safety employees to be transferred to the new agency without termination liability to the member agencies. This should result in the provision of higher quality fire protection in my district at lower cost to taxpayers, and I request an aye vote on 2004.
Seeing no discussion nor debate, the clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Mr. Clerk, please close the roll and tally the votes. 66 aye, no 0 on the measure. 66 aye, no 0 on the urgency. The measure passes. Moving to item 23, ACR 194. Mr. Clerk, please read.
Assembly concurrent resolution 194 by Assemblymember Reyes relative to Latino Education and Advocacy Week.
Assemblymember Reyes, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I present to you ACR 194, which declares the last week of March as a statewide week for Latino education and advocacy. Today, Latinos are the largest minority group in the United States. In California alone, Latino students make up over half of the K-12 enrollment. Despite the significant progress which has been made in recent years, Latino students still have among the highest high school dropout rates, have lower scores on achievement tests, and have lower college enrollment rates than their peers. To address these issues and many more which surround the Latino community and their education, the lead organization at California State University San Bernardino houses several national and international projects. On March 29th, CSU San Bernardino will host its 9th annual Latino Education and Advocacy Days, or the LEAD Summit, celebrated under the direction of Dr. Enrique Murillo. Over 1,000 people participate in this summit annually, whilst it is broadcasted to 7 countries and watched by millions. This is why today I present to you ACR 194 to declare the last week of March Latino Education and Advocacy Week. Thank you for your time. I ask that the first roll be opened for co-authors, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblymember Thurman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and colleagues. I rise in support of ACR 194. I'd like to thank my colleague for her authorship and leadership on this measure. This is a very important week and an important opportunity. I'm mindful of many great leaders who are Latino who have risen to be leaders in education as superintendents, as professors, as educators, and as champions for civil rights leadership. None more important than Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who was a professor at Harvard. And many of you have experienced the Education Foundation and the Civics Foundation started by California's own Dolores Huerta. We know that there have been many great opportunities, but yet there are still opportunities to fulfill a great education for all students, including our Latino students. In my assembly district, both of the largest districts in our assembly district are more than 50% Latino students. As you heard, we continue to see an achievement gap for many students, including Latino students and African American students and students from low-income backgrounds. Let us take this week and this recognition as an opportunity for us to expand our educational efforts to support Latino students and all students in the great state of California. I urge your support for ACR 194, Latino Education and Advocacy Week.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion or debate, we will open the first roll for co-authors. Members, this roll is for co-authors on the resolution. This roll is for co-authors. Mr. Clerk, please close the roll. There are 63 co-authors on the resolution. Without objection, we will take a voice vote on the resolution. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, the resolution is adopted. Mr. Chen, you are recognized for your introductions.
Good morning, colleagues. It's a real pleasure for me to introduce Christian Elementary School, all the way coming from Southern California. I remember when I was in 4th grade coming to the Capitol. It made a profound impact on me and was a big reason why I decided to run and become an elected official. Hopefully, perhaps one day, one of you guys in the gallery at Christian Elementary School can come up and be sitting on the floor too as a member in the State Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christian Elementary School to the Capitol.
Thank you. Moving back to the daily file, item 24, ACR 199. Mr. Clerk, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 199 by Assemblymember Carrillo relative to Archbishop Oscar A. Romero.
Assemblymember Carrillo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today to present Assembly Concurrent Resolution 199, a resolution commemorating the contributions of late Archbishop Oscar Romero of El Salvador on the 38th anniversary of his death, as well as the connections his legacy has created with El Salvador and the community in California. This resolution comes on the heels of the Assembly delegation to El Salvador and builds on our continued commitment for diplomacy between the Salvadorian government and the state of California. As background, the Salvadorian Civil War began in early 1980s and lasted for 12 years and took the lives of approximately 75,000 Salvadorians. This violence by a government against its people led many Salvadorians, including my family, to leave the country, seek safety in other places, and seek solutions such as temporary protective status, which we continue to talk about in this very moment, seek asylum, become refugees, and some even come to other places as undocumented immigrants. Archbishop Oscar Romero of San Salvador rose up as a reluctant hero, speaking out against the Civil War and the many egregious human rights violations which were occurring at that time and which lasted for 12 years. In the end, Archbishop Romero's advocacy for the poor and for justice led to his execution and assassination while he was giving Mass on March 24, 1980. Since then, the Latin American community, including many church groups, Salvadoran Catholics, regard Romero as an unofficial patron to the Americas and to their country. Many other denominations honor Archbishop Romero, including the Church of England. As a Salvadorian American, I can tell you this: Archbishop Romero's legacy of peace continues to this day, and it inspires Salvadorians everywhere to look for a more just and prosperous tomorrow. And it far exceeds the Salvadorian community. This is about faith and justice, and how somebody that was giving Mass was taken because of a pursuit towards justice and against a war. I also believe that we can see the improvements in California's growing cultural and economic relationships with El Salvador, which the Speaker, myself, and 2 other colleagues witnessed firsthand in our Assembly delegation to the country. Recently, Pope Francis, in recognition of the Archbishop's selfless devotion of peace and justice, has taken the final steps towards the canonization and sainthood of Oscar Romero. This resolution proclaims March 24, 2018 as a day of remembrance of Archbishop Oscar Romero of El Salvador in California, and joins the Salvadorian community in celebrating his example of sacrifice on the occasion of the 38th anniversary of his death. Furthermore, this resolution recognizes the unifying history and cultural connections between California and El Salvador embodied in the life and work of Archbishop Romero. Thank you, and I urge you an aye vote.
Thank you. Assemblymember Gibson, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and members. I just want to thank the gentle lady from Los Angeles who, one, represents the El Salvadorian community very well, and had a pleasure of traveling to El Salvador with a delegation, and actually had an opportunity to go to the Archbishop's grave and to his church and find out that he in his country was the Cesar Chavez. He in his country was the Martin Luther King. He was the drum major for justice. And I also had a distinct opportunity to have lunch with his nephew, who his family still have to live undercover because of threats of their lives. This man has done a tremendous job for the El Salvadorian community, for the country, and certainly thank and respectfully ask that all of our members please for an aye vote on ACR 199, and thank the gentlewoman from Los Angeles for bringing this to this floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblymember Arambula, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to share with our Assembly member from Los Angeles a memory that we had together, because we went to the Catedral Metropolitano, which is the burying spot for Oscar de Romero. And he is memorialized with something over his tomb which says, sentir con la iglesia, to feel for the church. And Oscar de Romero is summarized in my mind as la voz de los sin voz, the voice for the voiceless. It was powerful to be in El Salvador and to feel the passion that the people had for this true leader for their community. And I'm honored to support ACR 199 and thank my colleague from Los Angeles.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion or debate, Assembly Member Carrillo, would you like to close, and would you like co-authors on this item?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Many of us come from various different parts of the world and have a history of justice and a fight for opportunity and equality, something that I talk about all the time. When I first got here, I brought my parents with me, and I've been sharing what it's like to have been an unrecognized refugee that fled the Civil War in El Salvador. Many of us look to this body to recognize the recognitions of thousands. And we continue to talk about the Salvadorian community and TPS and immigration, and know that Archbishop Romero gave his life, or his life was taken away while he gave Mass. He was assassinated. And while it's been several decades since 1980, this is a moment for this body to recognize that this movement is seen around the world, and that we have a responsibility to ensure that all Californians, everyone that calls this state home, feel safe and secure, and that this recognition for Archbishop Romero is a testament to their lives, what they've gone through, and what we can do as a state to continue our diplomatic relationships with a country as small but incredibly significant to the contributions of our state. So I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Would you like the first roll to be open for co-authors?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll for co-authors. Members, this roll is for co-authors on the resolution. This roll is for co-authors on the resolution. Members, this roll is for co-authors. Mr. Clerk, please close the roll. There are 65 co-authors on the resolution. Without objection, we will take a voice vote on the item. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 25, pass and retain. Moving to item 26, H.R. 87. Mr. Clerk, please read.
House Resolution 87 by Assemblymember Chu relative to Arts Education Month.
Thank you. Assemblymember Chu, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speakers and members. H.R. 87 will declare March 18, 2018 as Art Education Month to recognize the important role of art plays in promoting California students' cultural understanding, readiness for learning, creativities, and emotional development. Arts education, which include dance, music, theater, and visual arts, is recognized as part of the quality K-12 education by the Education Code and the University of California and California State University admission policies. This resolution will urge all elected officials to participate with their communities in celebrating the art. The HR has no oppositions, and I would like to have the first row open for co-author.
Thank you. Seeing no debate or discussion, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll for co-authors. Members, this roll is for co-authors on the resolution. This roll is for co-authors. Members, this roll is for co-authors on the resolution. Mr. Clerk, please close the roll. There are 67 co-authors on the measure. Without objection, we will take a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 27, ACR 175. Mr. Clerk, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 175 by Assemblymember Rubio and others relative to Endometriosis Awareness Month.
Thank you. Assemblymember Rubio.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to present ACR 175, which would declare the month of March 2018 as Endometriosis Awareness Month. Endometriosis is a disease with no known cure or cause in which tissue that normally grows in the uterus begins to grow outside of the uterus, leading to chronic, debilitating pain. It is my hope that greater awareness will lead women to early diagnosis, better treatment, and a better quality of life. Members, I can almost guarantee that each and every one of us in this chamber either has a family member, friend, or colleague that is suffering from the terrible condition. Endometriosis affects at least 1 in 10 women of reproductive age. What's more, on average, women suffer for 10 years between the first symptoms of pain and the final endometriosis diagnosis. This disease can affect every organ of the body and frequently leads to lower quality of life, school and work absences, infertility, and unnecessary high medical costs. According to studies, this painful disorder causes women to miss on average 10 hours of work per week, at an overall cost of $119 billion in lost workplace productivity. Members, please join me and help raise awareness of endometriosis. I would also like to let you know that this coming weekend, on March 24th, 2018, San Francisco, along with 63 countries around the world, will participate in the Worldwide Endometriosis March. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and I would like the first roll to be open for co-authors. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no discussion nor debate, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll for co-authors. Members, this roll is for co-authors on the resolution. This roll is for co-authors on the resolution. This roll is for co-authors on the resolution. Mr. Clerk, please close the roll. There are 64 co-authors on the resolution. Without objection, we will take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, the resolution is adopted. Assemblymember Rubio, you are recognized for your guest introductions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I would like to introduce to the body Sarah McClellan. Sarah is our Assembly Chief Sergeant's wife, and after 17 years of painful suffering was just recently diagnosed with endometriosis during an unrelated surgery. Thank you for your advocacy, and we wish you a full recovery. Please join me in acknowledging Sarah McClellan.
Thank you. Items 28 through 31 pass and retain. Moving back, I'm sorry, Ms. Rubio, you are recognized.
I would also like to acknowledge a member of my staff, Sarah Bedore, who is watching this floor session from my district office. She too suffered and was diagnosed with endometriosis. I'd like to wish her a speedy recovery and let her know that we're all thinking of her. Thank you.
Thank you. Items 28 through 31 pass and retain. Returning to item 15, AB 417. Mr. Clerk, please read.
Assembly Bill 417 by Assemblymember Limon and others, and act relating to health facilities and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Pass temporarily. Assemblymember Limon, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. AB 417 is back for concurrence. Among those structures burned by the Thomas Fire were 2 buildings at Aurora Vista Del Mar, an acute psychiatric hospital located in my district. Vista Del Mar is a critically important provider of inpatient and outpatient mental health services within the region. AB 417 is a very narrowly crafted legislation that allows the California Department of Public Health to authorize outpatient behavioral health services for a short period of time while the hospital inpatient services are suspended because of the fire damage. We have worked with the Governor's Office, CDPH, agency, and stakeholders to craft this narrow solution. This bill has received unanimous bipartisan support and has no opposition. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Seeing no debate or discussion, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Mr. Clerk, please close the roll and tally the votes. 65-0 on the urgency, 65-0 on the item. The Senate amendments are concurred. Moving back to second reading, Mr. Clerk, please read.
Assembly Bill 2105, 1908, 2439, 2870, 2243, 2177, 2197, 2349, 2173 with amendments, 2169 with amendments, 2550 with amendments, 1973 with amendments, and Assembly Bill 2133 with amendments.
Thank you. All bills have been deemed read and amendments adopted. Moving now to the consent calendar. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read the second-day consent calendar.
Assembly Bill 2076 by Assemblymember Rodriguez and accolating the county employees' retirement.
Thank you. The clerk will open the roll on the consent calendar. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote on the consent calendar. All those vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. 66 aye, no opposed. The consent calendar is adopted. The clerk will read the remaining items.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 135.
Aye 66, noes none.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 149.
Aye 66, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 154.
Aye 66, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 169.
Aye 66, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 189.
Aye 66, no 0.
And House Resolution 81.
Aye 66, no 0. Members, please give your attention to Mr. Gallagher for his guest introductions. Mr. Gallagher, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I have several guests with me today to celebrate Grand Jury Awareness Month. ACR 189 was passed on the consent calendar today. During this month, we recognize the dedication and hard work of volunteers who exercise their vital function of overseeing local government and the civil functions of grand juries. All 58 counties in this state impanel grand juries to report on civil matters, including the operations, accounts, and records of the officers, departments, and functions of a county. These reports shed light on activities of local governments, recommending best practices, discovering inefficiencies, and assisting public officials in providing quality services to all. As a former Sutter County supervisor, I can attest firsthand to the invaluable nature of these reports. For example, just last year in Tehama County, the grand jury reported recommendations that help increase collaboration between private and public organizations to provide better services for homeless in the city of Red Bluff. These honorable accomplishments are deserving of recommendation, and we have with us today some members of grand juries, the president of the Sutter County Grand Jurors Association, Becky Jennings, Steve Myers, vice president of the Sutter County Grand Juries Association, Gary Spa from the San Joaquin County Grand Juries Association, and also several other grand jurors who are serving across the state. Please welcome them, members, and give them a round of applause.
Thank you. Senate third reading, item 32, pass and retain. Members, spring recess begins upon adjournment of session today. The session schedule is as follows. Friday, March 23rd, recess. In the absence of objection, the quorum call is lifted, and we will now move to previously announced adjournments in memory. The following members were granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Members, please take your seats or take your conversations off the floor. Let's give our respect to those members with adjournments and memories. Mr. Gibson, you are recognized for your adjournment in memory.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and members. I rise to ask this body to adjourn in the memory of the Honorable former Mayor of Compton, Doris Davis. Doris Davis was born in Mount Vernon, Georgia in 1930 through 1931, where she grew up in Chicago, Illinois. She attended Northwestern University, received her master's degree in education administration before getting married to Cedric O. Davis. They moved to Los Angeles, California. After moving, she served as a teacher in the Los Angeles Unified School District and taught from 1965. And then she entered into politics, beating a 28-year incumbent and becoming the first African-American clerk of a metropolitan city in America. The victory served as a platform where she later was elected as the first African-American woman to hold office, making her the first African-American mayor of a metropolitan American city. She served the city of Compton faithfully. She once said that there is much to politics that influence and make cities better and great by using this office to make people's lives better. Ms. Davis belonged to a number of organizations, including the NAACP, the Urban League, and the League of Women Voters. She founded the Daisy Child Development Center in 1967 to provide wayward teen mothers an opportunity to give them a foundation and structure in life. Ms. Davis leaves to cherish her memory her son, Cedric Omar Davis III, John Kenny Davis, a host of grandchildren. She will be missed by many as one who has certainly cherished the city of Compton. And let me just also say this, that her body lied in the city council chambers, and so many people came to pay tribute and reverence to her great legacy as the first female mayor of a metropolitan city in America, and also a great leader. And I'm reminded of a story that was made mention of during her service about her faithfulness not only to God, but also to her Bible study. Members, please adjourn in memory of the Honorable Doris Davis.
Thank you. Assemblymember Gonzalez-Fletcher, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise today to ask that we adjourn in the memory of Joaquin Avila, who formerly led the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Education Fund and was the architect of the California Voting Rights Act. Joaquin Avila was born on June 23, 1948, in Los Angeles to Mexican immigrants. He grew up in Compton. And despite facing adversities as a child, he went on to become his high school's valedictorian, attended Yale, and graduated from Harvard Law School. Following his graduation from law school, Mr. Avila joined MALDEF, where he worked on numerous important cases to expand civil and voting rights of Latinos. Throughout his long, distinguished career as an attorney, he was involved in more than 70 voting rights and equal representation cases, including 2 argued before the United States Supreme Court. In his first Supreme Court, Plier v. Doe, the court held that states cannot constitutionally deny students a free public education on account of their immigration status. In his second case, Lopez v. Monterey County, the court sided with Mr. Avila that the Monterey County's consolidation of court districts into a single county-wide municipal district violated the Voting Rights Act, essentially disenfranchising Latino voters. As he had done all his life, Mr. Avila played a key role in establishing the California Voting Rights Act in 2001 to ensure fair and equal representation throughout our state. Most recently, Mr. Avila was the director of the National Voting Rights Advocacy Initiative at Seattle University School of Law. On March 9, 2018, he passed away due to complications with cancer. Mr. Avila is survived by his wife of nearly 50 years, Sally, their 3 children, Joaquin Jr., Salvador, and Angelique, a brother, and 4 grandchildren. On behalf of the California Latino Caucus, I ask that you join me in adjourning in the memory of Joaquin Avila.
Thank you. Assemblymember Rubio, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, thank you for the opportunity to adjourn in memory of my constituent, Jackie Bracera. Ms. Jacqueline Bracera was born on August 23, 1958, and was a lifelong resident of the city of Irwindale in my district. Jacqueline truly loved her hometown and was very involved in the community. She instilled a passion for service to others. This passion was seen in her commitment to the Irwindale Sister City organization. Ms. Bracera served as president of the organization for many years and also the group's treasurer. During her tenure, the club continued and expanded their cultural exchange with Irwindale's sister city of Salvatierra, Guanajuato in Mexico. She organized many support projects for the benefit of the residents of Salvatierra. Her dedication to helping others was also evident in her career in banking. Ms. Bracera dedicated over 30 years to the banking industry, working for large and small banking institutions such as Washington Mutual and Chase Bank. Through diligence and determination, she worked her way up through the position of teller, banker, and branch manager. Her expertise was called upon to open a new branch and get them up and running. She was committed to providing the same level of banking services to her clients in the smallest branches as to those in the largest. At one point in her career, Ms. Bracera managed one of the largest banking branches for Washington Mutual on the West Coast. The Bracera family was also committed to civic service. Ms. Bracera's father and uncle served on the Irwindale City Council, and she followed their example. Jackie was elected to the City Council in 1992 and served through 1997, holding the position of Mayor Pro Tem from 1994 to 1995. She also inspired her brother Mark to run and serve on the Irwindale City Council. Today, Mark is the mayor and has been the longest serving mayor in Irwindale, now on his fifth term, ensuring that the Preseda family's dedication to service to their community continues for years to come. Ms. Preseda left us too soon on February 27, 2018. She is preceded by her beloved parents, Stella and Richard Preseda, and is survived by her brothers, Richard Preseda and Mayor Mark Preseda of Irwindale. Ms. Preseda's caring and service touched many lives. Her lifelong friends and family in Irwindale will dearly miss Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, please bring the names to the desk to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions will be continued. Pursuant to the joint rules, the House stands adjourned for spring recess and will reconvene on Monday, April 2nd at 1 p.m.